I'm so happy that the community can get together and fulfill the DTIA mission, where design thinking practitioners can come together, share, learn, and grow and create value together.
I think this is a very good get-together event with all the design thinking practitioners, and definitely I hope actually this 2 days, all those meaningful discussions and sharing, actually we can take it into action.
One takeaway is that designers have a lot of the power to solve some of the environmental issues that we face today, right? Designers are really good at dealing with ambiguous problems. They're really good at asking questions and designing meaningful solutions. And so I want to encourage the design community to direct that power towards addressing environmental issues and sustainability issues. It's been so good to come back to the community, both familiar faces, I guess, and new faces. And really to spend this intense moment of sharing. We were here for 2 days and a weekend, but the time really flew really quickly. And so I was just really appreciative of the community.
The presentation was about the different insights and silver linings that we learned from the pandemic in terms of the education realm. And I would say after my presentation, a lot of people in the audience really resonated with the well-being. I think there's been a real focus on well-being, whether that's mental or physical well-being, and everybody was nodding. I mentioned some other points about parents really understanding what is going on with their child's education more, and everybody was nodding at that. I am so delighted, excited, and honored actually to be here. I think being in person and connecting and having these conversations with people who are really, really passionate and experienced design thinking practitioners is just phenomenal. So having this get together, and I love how in the beginning Stephen framed this as it's like we're inviting you to our home, we're socializing, getting together and connecting with humans, and then sharing some of our experiences. So yeah, a wonderful event. Thank you for inviting me.
A lot has changed since COVID. Even though COVID is sort of gone, it's really created a lot of changes in terms of society, people's expectations, and people are expecting a lot more from brands, I think, in terms of creating more supportive systems in their lives. I think bringing a sense of purpose, or helping them have a sense of purpose. There are many challenges in the world, and I think this raises a challenge for human-centered design, which has been maybe a little bit narrower historically. And so we need to think more holistically, more in terms of systems, nourishing things that help people's well-being, basically.
During COVID, there were lots of catalysts, from significant change in terms of customer needs to radical kind of digital transformation. So my topic was around taking a lot of the learnings that we have in terms of design thinking, how to pivot and ensure that we can actually take the best of design thinking, but look at how we can implement and inject that in the customer sense and in the corporate sense, and actually create process around the people and look at and scale that in the organization. So I think toolkits as well as good design process will be key in terms of ensuring that design thinking can be useful in the long run in a corporate sense. I'm very privileged. This is the third time I'm attending the DTIA event, and then actually also the third time I'm doing a sharing. And it has always been extremely provocative, very inspiring, and I think this particular time even more interesting, especially I think the session about AI. It really allows us to challenge ourselves to think about context of how we can use AI to actually make design thinking or design itself much more powerful. And then overall, in terms of design, I think the boundaries are really breaking down, and we can be a lot more imaginative about how we can use design to create value and ensure that it is not just an equalizing effect, but more building differentiation.
Hello everyone, I'm excited to be here. This is actually my first time at the DTI get-togethers. Again, this is not a conference. It is all people and the community come together and have good times. Come join us next year.
I love this activity, this exercise that DTI is bringing. I love the fact that it's bringing a lot of people to this place and really thinking about the future of design thinking. And I'm definitely love thinking about how we can do this better and even more during the year and in the future as well. So love everything about DTIA, and hopefully it continues in the future years. I find that it's really, really encouraging that we have a lot of new joiners to join us in these DTIA events. And then, of course, after all these 3 years, we learn a lot, but at the same time, the technology advanced a lot as well. So great to be here to share my view of AI and generative AI and how those technology can help the design thinking practitioner to do their job better, faster in their future professional life.
I've waited for 5 years. I think it's always good to be in the company of fellow design thinking practitioners. And during the COVID period, I think we missed that kind of physical meetup. So being able to see friends again and to meet new faces as well, I think it's a great opportunity to be rethinking and reframing the work that we do, especially after COVID. And so I'm looking forward to not just this DTIA in Hong Kong, but also to think about how the future DTIA might look like. Yeah, so I think I'm really happy to be back.
Well, I think it's really a great opportunity for all the design thinking practitioners and also professionals from adjacent industries to come together and share their knowledge and insights. And I hope, we all enjoy the session, and I personally have learned a lot, and I do hope that the audience feel the same as well.
It's kind of lonely to do design thinking alone. I have partners in Thailand, but I just think to have an opportunity to connect with other design thinking practitioners is one of the great ways to kind of grow as an individual. Because many times when you do design thinking work, I don't think it's just about the process itself, right? It's about making sure that your framework and your tools get developed over time. And I think you can only learn and advance all this kind of framework by learning from others. So I think DTIA is a great opportunity where we can actually connect the dots with other people who could potentially be using design thinking in a totally different aspect, but you can learn from them. And I think that's how we can grow as an individual, as a practitioner, and also as a community in Asia.
My talk was on the social enterprise ecosystem in Hong Kong. I think one takeaway would be that we should think about how every business can be a social business, how every business can do good and do well at the same time. To do well in business, as well as to look at your stakeholders to see whether you can do good together. This DTI get-together is fun, with lots of very talented people, and I do hope that these design thinkers can provide solutions to some of the bigger problems of today.
I was a graphic designer when I started. I no longer do graphic design. I design systems, and so to make that leap is too big a leap for most designers at the minute to do very quickly. So what does it mean to train designers in multiple things, not just design? Because I still see today what I was taught 30 years ago, which is, you're a designer, here's some design. And I'm like, huh? Even a chef is taught how to run a business. In a design school, do you get business training? It might be a module at best. What's that, an afternoon? No one learns anything in an afternoon. To solve the world's problems, whether that's sustainability or regenerate the planet or rethink politics or whatever it is, like, you require a bunch of different design disciplines to come together and figure that stuff out. And they all need the same emphasis on the ability to be able to be optimistic and remain in a state of collaboration. Hard, it's not easy to do. I would change the title. So design thinking in action, God bless it, as much as I would wish it best. I mean, as in the language of it. The sad truth is that the thing is not dead in this principle of the fact that research, ethnographic research, designing for people's needs, it's a principle that will never go away. The role of DTIA is a catalyst to help people start to figure out their own path in this stuff. Get more people excited across the Asian context. They need to understand what it is.
I think it would be very worthwhile to put effort into building a very interactive relationship with your customers. So you will learn so much from them, and they will always give you surprises. Oh, I think it's a very good event, and it's a lot of like-minded professionals gathered together to share ideas and learn from each other.
So in the process of life planning, there's a huge difference between adults and teenagers because we tend to have shorter attention span and our maturity is different and our capability to absorb knowledge is also different.
And I think it's empathizing with your target audience. In our personal experience, we met so many unexpected challenges because we didn't empathize enough with participants from developing countries. We didn't expect that they didn't know how to enter Google Classroom, Google Document, and we faced so many challenges because of this. So I think empathizing with your target audience and thinking from their perspective is very important.
There are a lot of different insights regarding how design thinking is applied to different fields, and it's honestly just fascinating because the group of people that gathered together is working at different field levels, and we still come together to find a commonality to work together.
And I think it's very inspiring because as teenagers we have a lot to learn. And up until now, I always thought that design thinking is usually applied to life planning. That's what we did. But we see much more applications of design thinking and even much more principles of design thinking. So I think it's a really eye-opening experience, and I hope we can come again in the next get-together.
The reaction to the event so far has been great. I mean, I've met the most warm and welcoming people who are practitioners themselves and who are like very willing to ask questions and kind of have a discussions without passing judgment. So I think the curation of the people that are here has been wonderful. Yeah, well, this event is what brought me back to Hong Kong. I was referred, or a friend of mine sent me an invitation. And she herself is a practitioner as well, and so I kind of trusted the community that she's plugged into. In my presentation, I talked about how my students are going through a lot right now in the world, and to ask them to learn design thinking, let alone things related to social justice, it's a big ask. And so if anything, I hope the audience would take away that, you know, when you're teaching design thinking or any other subjects for that matter, I would hope that the educators kind of find empathy in the students and see their point of view and see what's going on in their lives as they're teaching the class. Because educators, as we know, are always overworked and care a lot and want to teach more and want to give more. But sometimes our audience, the students themselves, are also going through a lot.
I joined like 5 or 6 years ago, and that was the first time I joined for the organization. And right now, it's quite privileged to be invited again to share some latest things at work. I think the most important things I want to share is about the future is created by most of the people. It's not only like controlled by this certain kind of entity or corporation. So I encourage people to think bold, and then what would be the futures look like, and then try to act something to make that future happen.
My one takeaway that I like to share with audience is many times we always have our own ideas, right? And we try to think that our idea is very good. However, try to use prototype and test to validate it instead of spending time arguing in the boardroom. It's amazing. It kept me going back many times. I love the crowd. I love the audience here. It's always inspire me when I come here. So I keep coming back.
We really need to broaden the way we think about who our stakeholders are, right? Yes, it is the end customers, but it's also the people who are involved in advising our customers. It's also the healthcare providers and the government. So it's really important to look at this from a system lens. So yeah, it's an important thing to consider. So I'm absolutely delighted to be part of this get-together. It's fantastic to be able to reconnect with a lot of old friends, but also, meeting people from the diverse areas of different industries. But what's really interesting is that we have this shared value, right, of driving a much more human-centered approach to solve problems. So yeah, it's been a very energizing, rejuvenating weekend so far.
Hello, fellow design thinking practitioners. I would like to invite you to join our Design Thinking Practitioners Get-Together. It's a wonderful occasion where we all come together to learn, share, grow, and create value together. I look forward to seeing you in our next event.